This is the Bates Bobcast, our weekly podcast that takes a look at the week that was in Bates athletics. My name is Aaron Morris, and this week we ring in the new year with a preview of the Bates Carnival, hosted by the Alpine and Nordic Skiing teams this Friday and Saturday at Sunday River and Black Mountain. Plus, Lewiston's own Chiwer Mayen put on a show for Bates men's basketball fans against St. Joseph's. And our Bobcats of the week impressed against Division I opponents. That's this week on the Bates Bobcast. The women's basketball team played 3 games since our last episode, winning 2 of them. Their only loss in that time span was to NCAA Division I opponent University of Maine. Bates is now 8-3 entering Tuesday's game against Babson, and sophomore Sarah Hughes continues to shine for the Bobcats. She scored the final 13 points of the game to help Bates secure a win over WPI, and she scored a team-high 17 points against Maine. Hughes is averaging 14.5 points per game this season, tops on the team, and 8th in the NESCAC. And she is our female Bobcat of the week. Well, Sarah, first of all, I want to ask you about the UMaine game, just because it is, facing a Division I opponent in that gym, big crowd. I mean, that experience, it must have been something interesting. What did you kind of learn from it?
As a team, we all kind of took away that we need to treat every opponent as if it was a big D1 team like UMaine. Every mistake we made, they were going to capitalize on. They had a school record of 19 threes, and that's because every mistake we made, they made their shot, and that doesn't always happen in our division, but now in the future games, we're just going to treat it like every mistake we make is going to be 2 or 3 points.
I want to give you a shout-out, though. You had 17 points in that game, so what was working for you on offense against them?
Really just anytime I was open, shot the ball. I feel like in the past games, I've wanted to get the highest percentage shot, even if I was open. Maybe there was a better option. But in the UMaine game, I knew we weren't going to get a lot of open shots, so I just took them.
Yeah, then going back further, the WPI game, you were once again playing the role of closer there, right? I think you scored the final 13 points or something like that. So what opened up for you in the fourth quarter in particular? Yeah,
in the first half, I was struggling a lot to find my game. I couldn't really find my flow. They were guarding me really well. And then in the fourth quarter, most of them were free throws, I'm pretty sure. 6 of them, yeah. So just getting the ball, knowing that I was going to make them. And then other than that, just kind of pushing through the physicality. And if a girl was guarding me up, just dribbling past her.
Yeah, and then just in general, kind of this, the December months, holiday season, you only had 3 games over the past, few weeks. So how do you, how does the team stay sharp? How do you stay sharp preparing for now NESCAC play, which is coming up this Friday, right?
Yeah, luckily we had 6 days before this last game. Coach was really sure about the week we had off, staying in the gym, running and whatever. But as a team, we've done a lot of conditioning in the past week, and getting back into lifting. We haven't been doing that for a little bit. So now we're trying to get back in that. And especially off of the UMaine game, it was really cool to see the change of pace. As a D1 team, they just are so much fitter than us. So that was a good motivation going into the break to make ssure we reach that next level.
Excellent. And then we were talking on Monday, so solid win yesterday there against Wheaton College. How's the team kind of feeling with one more non-conference game before you hit the road again, right?
Yeah, super excited to kind of close out this beginning of the season. This next part, conference play, is the best part of the season. Yeah. We just want to make a statement, play against these teams, get a nice scout. It's hard when they're not in conference. You don't really have a lot of history with these different teams, but it's a good kind of test for our mentality going into them to make sure we respect every player.
Yeah, it seems like your defense really turned a notch yesterday in the second half. What did you see?
Yeah, the blocks were insane. Those were really great. And, in the first half, our help side rotation was pretty bad. And then in halftime, we were like, let's fix it. And we did it. And that's something that we've been struggling with this season, just in general. finding something that we're not doing well and making the adjustment in game. So it was really cool to see that that actually clicked for us.
Excellent. And then, just in general, NESCAC play, you said it's your favorite time of the season. What makes it so special, you think?
Just all the history, like having so many past games, like knowing the opponent so well, having everyone at the school be so excited about it, especially in alumni, it's really great. But even away games, people just are really into it now, and it's really awesome.
And then as a sophomore now, your experience last year as a rookie, what are you going to take into conference play? What did you learn last year? Obviously you had a lot of success, but what do you kind of take away from it?
Yeah, having that year of experience under my belt is definitely really good. At the college level, it's really easy to get sped up, especially when the games are tight. And so I think I'm going to have even more poise and composure going into this conference play and kind of stepping up and taking control when things are getting tight.
All right, Sarah Hughes, Bobcats leading scorer so far this season. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Sticking with basketball, the men's basketball team is on a roll, having won 6 of their past 7 games entering NESCAC play, which begins this Friday at 7 p.m. when the Bobcats host Amherst. On Monday, December 30th, Bates beat St. Joseph's by a score of 82-73, and this past Sunday, the Bobcats hit the road and beat rival Colby in a non-conference game, 74-63. Junior Chiwer Mayen turned in the most exciting performance of the season in the win over the Monks, throwing down 6 spectacular slam dunks on his way to a career-high 14 points. Mayen grew up just a few blocks from campus, and he joins the Bobcast this week to talk more about his journey to Bates. We talked after the game there against St. Joseph's, and you touched on this, but what was it like to have so many friends and family there watching you put on that show? I mean, just such a great experience. But can you elaborate a little bit more on what that meant to you, kind of?
Yeah, so it meant a lot for me because in high school, I didn't really blossom until my junior year. It was a great year, I was playing with David and a lot of my other friends, and they came out. We unfortunately lost in the first round of the playoffs. But then after that, COVID hit, So I didn't really have my time to really shine in high school the way I really wanted to. So, to see a lot of familiar faces, I had some of my former high school teammates in the crowd. So I was very happy to see them, and I knew God had in store for me to put a show out for them.
You got to also play against your cousin.
Yeah.
And you explained to me off air, not technically by blood, but tell me a little bit about, your families are originally from Sudan, the same tribe. So tell me about how that works a little bit in terms of, who your family members kind of are.
Yeah, so back home, South Sudan, everyone knows everybody, Specifically, we're Dinka. We're from the Dinka tribe, me and Tong. My parents, they both know each other. They both know his parents from back home. So we're not related by blood, but just from that relation back home. And I grew up with him here in Maine, We just call each other family, so that's really what it is. But it's not about blood.
Sure. And then basketball, how did that become your sport growing up? I know you spent the first few years in Mississippi, moved to Maine in elementary school, but how did basketball become your sport?
Well, when I was really younger, I didn't really like sports that much, to be honest. I really didn't. I really like just being a kid, being outside, playing video games. And then when I came to, I did play. I lived in North Carolina for a year. That's where I first started playing, just recreational. I was really, really bad. I was really bad, but it didn't stick with me that more per se, but I just felt like this is pretty fun, I was around my friends, around some other South Sudanese kids down there. I was just playing with them, and it was a good time. But then when I moved up to Maine, I played in 4th, 6th grade, the elementary school ball. Got a little better by the year, as I matured more into my body. I played 7th grade basketball, but did not play 8th grade basketball. I decided not to. So, looking back now, it was a big mistake, but, it is what it is. But then I came to my freshman year of high school, and I was just astounded, wow, this I really, enjoy this, I like to. It was really, the process of just getting better, working out, being in the weight room, being on the court. I really gravitated towards me, And I didn't have a good freshman year, but really it left a pressure on me, this is something that I can do, to get where I want in life, to better my life, better my family's life, just through basketball. So, after that freshman season, that's when I really started to really put a lot of work in.
When did you experience, the growth spurt, or have you always been tall?
Yeah, I've always been tall.
Yeah.
But it's really middle school, like 7th grade. That's the knee started to hurt. I just shot up, man. It was crazy. But yeah, I went to Lewiston Middle School.
Yeah.
It was. I had a good time there, but I wasn't really focused on the basketball like the way I wish I was, But it's just like the way life is, like there's different periods and times throughout your life. There's time and place for everything,
Yeah, certainly. And I always ask people this who can dunk. When was your first dunk, and do you remember it?
Yeah.
Practice game? Yeah.
I like this question. So I grew up in Tall Pines. It's like not even like a mile and a half away from here, from Bates campus. So I grew up in that apartment complex. But there's a court called Sunnyside Court. Down the river, there's like a walk. You can walk down there from Tall Pines, and it's a court. It's not 10 feet. I like to call it 10 feet, but it's like more like 9'7", 9'8". And that's why I so-called got my first dunk. And that was like, it was the summer after freshman year, after I started putting a lot more work in. So it was like 1 out of 10. It was bad. 1 to 10 attempts. And after that, the Tall Pines have their own courts as well. Like they have 2 courts, full length. And I started to dunk there a little bit more. Well, I was classified as my first real dunk. I used to always be at Bates,
Yeah.
I used to always find a way in the gym because I knew a lot of the guys, I was just friends with a lot of like students here back then, back when I was a freshman, sophomore, junior in high school. And then like I remember after like a week or 2 of like working out, I came in, I was able to do like a real dunk, like one hand. It was in the Bates gym.
After hours.
Yeah, after hours. And I was playing pickup with some of the Bates students, and it was just like, I was like, wow, man. I got on camera. I was really excited. I was like, this is like first step of many,
Now, how about during like a high school game? Did you ever throw one down?
Yeah, man. It was junior year against Oxford Hills, man.
Against Oxford Hills, okay.
Yeah, it was at Oxford Hills. Evan Williams, my high school teammate, he was actually at the St. Joe's game. He threw a lob to me, and I caught it, and I was really excited. It took longer than it should have, but it finally happened, and I was really excited.
And you avoided a technical foul, right? No.
Yeah. I like to talk after I dunk, It's just, it gets me very amped, because that's what I am. Like, I'm a lob threat. I dunk the ball, like that's what I really pride myself in doing. So I was really happy with that.
Yeah, you took a post-grad year before coming to Bates. Take me through that decision-making process. What did the post-grad year do for you? And then how early were you focused on making Bates the priority for, coming to college?
Well, so to give you some context, Ronnie Turner, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so he was my high school coach.
Right.
Junior, senior year was my high school coach. So he did talk to Furbush about me. No, like when he worked here, because he did work every year, he did talk to Coach Furbush about me before I went to postgrad. So Furbush offered me before I went to postgrad.
Okay.
And then what I decided to do with that offer and all the offers, I decided to defer the package, keep it for like just go to postgrad, take my time there, and then go see Bates as an option if I wanted to go there. And I just went to postgrad, had a great time, like really matured as a basketball player. Like I was like probably the 4th, 5th tallest guy there, which is weird. I'm looking up to some big dudes, But I really matured then, and after that season, I really decided like Bates is my place to be. It's the place I'm most comfortable with. It was the most optimal choice at the time.
And it's kind of funny. We have 2 Lewiston high school kids, yourself and then David Omasambo.
Yeah.
Maybe the tallest player and the shortest player on the team. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
What's it like playing with him? Because you played with him in high school, right?
Yeah, I did play with him in high school.
Yes.
Man, he's my brother, man. Like I'm glad to be around him every day. Like realistically, I call him my best friend. Like that's how close we are. But to have him here with me, like it means a lot. To have him play on the court with him all the time throughout practice and everything, like it's a blessing. And like not a lot of people get to have their high school like teammate play with them in like college. It's a rarity, and like I think it's something special we have, So it's really a blessing,
Excellent. And it's interesting going to college a few blocks, literally less than a block from where we went to middle school. Kind of interesting experience, right?
Yeah, I remember, man, when Chu and Cal, I used to like the art room overlooks the Bates campus, Chu and Cal, and I literally saw Chu and Cal get built from the ground up.
Yeah,
as a 7th grader,
right.
I saw it get built from the ground up. It was crazy, and then I come back, I'm like, wow. like I'm old. That's how I feel when I'm seeing this stuff.
You're making me feel old because you were in 7th grade when that was being built. I was working here. That's funny.
A long time ago.
Awesome. And then, I mean, just kind of looking forward this season, for the team as a whole, give us kind of an overview of where you feel the team's at. I mean, it feels like the team's just absolutely on a roll right now. What are your thoughts on, coming into NetSky play, right? Starting this weekend.
Yeah, like we're just a really committed team. Like, we're all able to talk to each other. We're all, like, friends with each other. Like, we're just really connected in that way. And because of that, we're able to just push through the hard times, and stay as one. So that's what we did, Like, there's going to be ups and downs throughout any basketball season. That's just the way with life as well. But just the fact that we're so together, we just don't give up, We stick with it, as a team. And then, like, because of that, God's blessed us, and we just won our second, 3-game winning streak, we're going to continue, So that's where it's at.
Awesome. Yeah, the Bobcats have won 6 out of their last 7 games. They're hosting Amherst this Friday night, 7 o'clock at Alumni Gym in the NESCAC opener. Chiwer Mayen, thank you so much for joining us on the Bobcast. Really appreciate it.
No problem, man. I appreciate it.
On Saturday, Bates Swim and Dive hosted NCAA Division I opponent Dartmouth for a dual meet at Tarbell Pool. Although the Big Green won the meet, sophomore John Weigel turned in a performance to remember for the Bobcats. He anchored the victorious 400-yard medley relay team as Bates set a new Tarbell Pool record with a time of 3 minutes, 21.79 seconds. But the real highlight for Weigel was when he matched up against his brother Isaac Weigel, who swims for Dartmouth, in the 200-yard freestyle. John Weigel won the race by just 10 milliseconds, touching the wall in 1 minute, 40.67 seconds, while Isaac Weigel finished the race with a time of 1 minute, 40.68 seconds. For his multiple victories on Saturday, John Weigel is our male Bobcat of the week. Well, John, what an exciting dual meet, particularly for you, at Tarbell Pool on Saturday. Racing your brother, you're next to each other in the lanes, 200-yard freestyle, 10 milliseconds, the difference. Take us through the race. He was leading for a bit, and you out-touched him there at the end.
Right, yeah. So part of the thing in swimming is racing your own race. So I've got this great competition next to me, and it's always a privilege to race my brother. And I had just talked to my coach about how I was going to approach the race, and she just said, ride the right side of the lane next to him, so you sort of catch that wake. He's a big guy. He's just making a lot of waves. So I sort of caught that wave and carried it until the last 75, and last 50 especially, I split into the middle of the lane and just started going for it.
2 years to separate you.
Right.
How often did you race growing up? All the time?
No, not all the time.
Not all the time, okay.
Yeah, so he was always a lot quicker, and I wasn't in the same heats. So even though we raced the same events, we weren't really racing ever.
Okay.
I think I've raced him a handful of times. We raced him last year.
Right.
So that was probably one of the main races we've really had together.
Is this the first time you've beaten him?
Yes. Yep.
Wow. How did that feel?
Great. Honestly, when I looked up at the scoreboard, I couldn't tell the difference between the I and the J, and I wasn't reading the numbers right, so I couldn't really tell who won. But I was really just happy to be within. I was within 100th, so I was like, that's exceptional for me. Where I'm at right now in the season and everything.
Well, looking at the web feed, you had a smile on your face, so at some point you realized you won, right?
Yeah. Shortly after when we were talking, and I said, good race, and I sort of knew at that point, yeah. He had his head down, so.
Obviously an awesome experience. I mean, you being 2 years younger, him going to Dartmouth, did you look at Dartmouth at all? Or what made Bates the place for you, kind of? Yeah.
I sort of got washed up and I didn't really know what I wanted. I decided I wanted to swim in college my senior year of high school.
Okay, yeah.
So very late, and actually Isaac helped me construct these recruiting emails and everything, and so really it was October. I just I reached out to PC here on the team, and he loved to have me, and so things sort of just fell into place. But I don't know. I didn't look at Dartmouth, for example. I didn't really apply or talk to any coaches really beyond D3, I guess.
Yeah. And get to anchor a 400-yard medley relay team that set the pool record and beat Dartmouth there. What was that experience like?
I didn't even know we set the pool record until later during the meet. But just great thing. I mean, the energy after training trip was just everybody was so ready to just get after it and see what we could really do when we had all our best guys in the pool training together and racing together and fighting for the same thing. So I don't know. It's really a great feeling to just know that everybody's there on the deck going through the same thing, and they support you when you're racing, and just, having fun is a big thing.
Yeah, these meets early in January, you're coming right off training trip. I saw a comment on Instagram, oh, John must have tapered. No, you weren't, right? You were coming off a hard training session, right?
Yeah. That's our my brother and I, our friend Kirk. So he made a little joke about John being tapered. I didn't taper, but we had this hard training week.
Yeah.
And then over break, I didn't do a great job, like, staying on my trajectory, I guess. Like, getting in the pool every day was really hard with the holidays and pool hours at home and everything. So I didn't taper per se, but I did have, a couple days, like 5 days where I wasn't swimming, which might be counterintuitive, but it definitely helped me just rest and reset before coming back in. And I guess I had one practice and then we had the meet. So
Gotcha.
I wasn't being worked very hard going into it, but things are taking a turn now.
Excellent. Then you mentioned your coach, Emma, assistant coach for the Bobcats. What have you learned from her? Because I know she trains world-class swimmers across the ocean there, right?
Yeah, so much to learn. She's just really just a big pot of knowledge. You can just keep going back for more, and she'll have something new to tell you. In the beginning of the season, a lot of what she's taught us is just about really feeling your stroke and just holding that catch on the water, and then building your aerobic capacity and your sprinting capabilities. But now it's just about how to race. Like, we're coming down to the championship season soon, and a lot of the hard work's been done. So now it's just fine tuning those details, your walls, underwaters, your start. Really, just thinking about the person next to you, racing. You want to get your hand on the wall first.
You must be really excited about the potential of these relays for the men's team. I mean, there's some talented swimmers. What's this group like?
Really, like you said it yourself, very talented. Everybody they're very good at what they do.
Yeah.
So our breaststrokers are phenomenal. Our flyers are, putting in the work, and our backstroke. Like, everybody's doing what they know how to do, and we've got such a good group that everybody is so versatile. So, like, my coach was the head coach was talking to me about putting me on the backstroke leg of the B relay, which was
interesting.
It is, it's an interesting choice, but like, everybody can swim. You're right. Sort of how I think about it is we're sprinters. You're not literally a freestyler or a backstroker. So I like to approach a race from a perspective of yardage, not the stroke. So if it's 100, throw me in.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I got to ask you about the stroke, though, because backstroke is so much different, I feel like. Yeah. I mean, how much experience do you have with it?
Not a lot.
Not a lot, yeah.
No, for not being with, a backstroker, in air quotes, I'm really happy with how my 100 back's been going this year. I never really swim it. But that's part of Emma's world-class training, is just that I am like that well-rounded approach of your swimming breaststroke in practice. Well, that's going to help your 100 freestyle. And, you might not think that at first glance, but really swimming is so it's just catching the water.
That's an interesting approach. Definitely not one I've heard before, really. That's kind of cool in terms of focusing on the distance, not so much the stroke. So super versatile, obviously, a bunch of men's swimmers this year. Do you think the 400 medley is going to be the kind of the top one for you guys, or what's kind of your favorite relay, maybe?
Yeah, the 4med's great.
Yeah.
The way I look at it right now, they don't really need me on the 4med.
Okay.
We've got a good back, breast, fly, freestyler. But I think, again, our 2 free relay is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think with how we've been putting up those 20 points this year, I mean, for myself last year, I was not going this fast. So I think our 2 free relay could be very good. Honestly, our 4 free relay is going to be very dangerous. I know Max is ready to split some fast 40, low 40s. I myself am hoping to do that, and we'll have the freshman Nate Oppenheim is going to help out a lot. So I'm very excited to see what those 2 freestyle relays are going to bring.
Yeah, Oppenheim's coming in here and already breaking a few records himself. What's it like to see that?
It's really cool. I mean, it can sort of be like disencouraging, when you see someone going so fast, like, just the grade below you just coming in and like tearing it up the record board. But really, it shows the character of our coaches and like the work they've put into this program, into building it and making sure that it's not just going to die after a year, but we're going to keep the legacy going. We're going to have new and good swimmers coming in every year and really just build the program. It's really awesome to see, because I know that if we have a swimmer like Nate coming in, then who could be next,
right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, any other thoughts you wanted to share on, beating your brother for the first time in a race or anything else you wanted to mention?
Really, just for me, it was staying humble.
Yeah.
Like, that's such a big thing for me. I haven't really explicitly thought about being my brother because I never thought I'd really do it, especially like head to head. The 2 freestyle is more of his domain, so I was kind of shocked, especially in the 200. I thought if it was the 100 this year, I could definitely, but 200, I was a little apprehensive going into it. But I'm just really excited and trying to maintain this momentum forward in the season. I know I'm in a good spot, and I can only go up from here. I think it'll be really hard to get worse. So I'm just gonna keep my head down and keep training.
Excellent. Male Bobcat of the Week, John Weigel, with us here on the Bobcast. The Bobcats are back in action this Sunday when they host Middlebury at Tarbell Pool. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Aaron.
This Friday and Saturday marks the return of the Bates Carnival. The Alpine and Nordic Skiing teams will help launch the start of a new Eastern Intercollegiate Ski Association season when they host this exciting 2-day event. To help preview the Bates Carnival from an alpine skiing perspective, we are joined this week by all 4 of the team's senior captains: Kenzie Arnott, Sequoia Anstine, Nick Hotermans, and Kyle Kagan. Well, we've got all 4 of the Alpine skiing captains with us here on the Bates Bobcast to preview not only the Bates Carnival, but the 2025 Alpine skiing season. But first of all, Kenzie, let's start with you. As a senior captain, you're all senior captains, but this is your final year with the Bobcats. What are your thoughts kind of just in general about what you want to do to make this last year, really count, right?
Yeah, totally. So this year, a lot of the girls have talked about, working hard and having fun. So that means keeping a positive attitude. And that's a big theme we've had all of our 4 years. But I'm just really excited to have one more year with, we're a family and it's great. So, yeah.
And one thing, Sequoia, before the carnival season, you do have races, right? Tell us about some of those and how it's gone so far.
Yeah, actually the boys just got back from a big race series at Burke, so it's awesome to have them back training with us. But we had a couple races pre-Christmas break, which was awesome, down in Stratton. And then recently we had a New Year's race at Proctor as a women's team while the boys were at Burke. And everyone's skiing really well. There's some mistakes, but that happens, and everyone's working their hardest. And like Kenzie's saying, just trying to have as much fun as we can.
Great. Kyle, so just got back, so tell us about how the trip went.
Yeah, we just got back last night, actually, and it was a good trip. Definitely learned a lot. Kind of for some of us, it was after a couple days off over the Christmas break, a little knocking some rust off, as you might say. But definitely learned a lot and trending in the right direction towards this upcoming Bates Carnival and towards the carnival season. So, yeah, a lot of momentum to take into the college season.
Excellent. Well, for 3 of you, this is the first time on the Bobcast, so I want to get a sense of your backgrounds. Nick, we can start with you. From Massachusetts, went to high school in New Hampshire, but how did Bates get on your radar for college? What made you want to become a Bobcat back in the day, and how's it gone so far now as a senior?
It's been going good. I basically looked at all the best Division I programs in the East for alpine skiing. I went to a super small school in Waterville Valley, New Hampshire, so I was definitely looking for that same environment. And, Bates is super lucky to have a good Sunday River training venue, so that was definitely something I looked at too. And, yeah, I've really loved my experience so far, and it's a good family.
Kenzie, how about for you?
Kind of same situation. I grew up in Massachusetts, but went to a really small ski academy in Vermont. So I toured Bates actually when I was a sophomore in high school, and I was obviously looking at ski schools too, but I just fell in love with the vibe on campus, and I really saw myself at Bates, and I thought to myself, I just want to come here. So, I got in and deferred and took a gap year and made skiing happen. So, yeah.
And then Kyle, you're from Steamboat Springs, just like Sequoia, right?
Yeah, so there's actually 4 of us on the team from Steamboat, so it's pretty cool that we all came in as a class together. And yeah, I've known Sequoia since we were super little and grown up together. And Steamboat's a cool town and kind of ski town, kind of people come there for ski vacations, and kind of grown up just around the sport and skiing. And then once I completed high school, wanted to continue racing and take it to the next level. And took a couple trips out to the East Coast to visit schools and just fell in love with Bates and the team and the training environment as well. So
yeah, Sequoia, growing up in Steamboat Springs, you basically have to ski, or else what else would you do, right? What was that dynamic like, having so many people who you now come to school with as well in college?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool we get thrown into it when we're little. I think I was on skis for the first time when I was 2. But yeah, it's awesome. It's a really outdoorsy town, so it's cool that, you can kind of find sports in anything, even just getting outdoors. I mean, our backyard is basically the ski hill, so that's super cool, and it's nice to not have to travel too far to get world-class skiing. It's been awesome, yeah.
Awesome. Well, we get to host the Bates Carnival this weekend. It's not every year we get to host the Bates Carnival, so very exciting out there at Sunday River. Kenzie, just let's start with you in terms of what it means to be hosting this carnival, what you hope to see from everyone there. And I know we hosted 2 years ago, so memories of that also perhaps, right?
Yeah, so I really hope to see some Bates students up there and some friendly faces, because although it is an hour, but it's not the farthest trip we have to take. And just bringing some momentum. We have a lot of families coming together, and just, same family vibe, and obviously some fast skiing would be great too. Yeah.
Kyle, how about for you with the Bates Carnival? What are your thoughts on that?
yeah, I think it's a really cool opportunity. We get to host the first collegiate race of the season, so definitely with our home hill, kind of great way to make a strong impact and build momentum for the start of the season, and kind of puts on down some good results. And we ski there every day, kind of know like the back of your hand. So it's a hill that we feel confident on and can take that into the weekend.
Yeah, Nick, you and Kyle were literally just up there, right? Just a few minutes ago, basically.
Yeah, we just got back from training like 15 minutes ago. So it was, conditions are really good right now, so we're all really excited. And the pace has been awesome in training, so we're really excited to see that in action on that same hill.
Sequoia, how does Sunday River compare to the other venues you go to throughout the circuit?
I mean, I feel like for us, it's probably one of the easier ones just because we're so comfortable on the hill. And it's a really good GS hill, and I think just the environment's super good. I feel like the locals are super welcoming, and we have a nice lodge to hang out in at the bottom. But as for other races, I feel like we get pretty lucky, and most of the hills that we ski at have really good race venues and cater towards us very well. So it's definitely fun to get to ski a little bit of everything on the east, but Sunday River is probably one of my favorites.
So I wanted to follow up. You said it's a great GS hill. So for the giant slalom, what makes a great GS hill as opposed to a great slalom hill?
I just think it flows really well. Usually we train from about halfway, but when we race, it starts further up, and you get a little bit more speed coming over the first breakover. So I think it flows really well, and it's a decent length. And it's not too scary if it's, icy or whatnot. If it's your first time on the hill, usually that's a little daunting, but I feel like Sunday River's very welcoming.
And then Kyle, just general for those folks on the men's team for a second, goals for you guys. I know it's kind of is it a younger team this year, or?
Yeah, it's kind of a mix. We have a large senior class, and then only one junior, one sophomore, and then we have a really strong class of 3 freshman guys. So, I think goals for the season, we'd love to win a carnival would be a great goal. So I think that's something that we have the potential to do when we're all skiing at our best, and can take that, and qualifying individuals to NCAAs would be great as well. So
Nick, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's going to be a great time to have the senior class finish off really well and, show what we're capable of one last time. And then also on that latter half, go to the freshmen and see what they're really capable of, because they're probably the strongest freshman class we've had in the last 10 years potentially. And they're really, really good.
Excellent. Looking forward to seeing that. Sequoia, how about for the women's team? Give us a little preview of who we expect to see have a big year. I know, obviously, Juju Hoder, your sophomore now teammate, had a big year last year, but who else perhaps as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all looking forward to see Juju ski again, and I know that Lindsay's had some good results in the past, but our freshman Helena's also been skiing really well, so that'll be exciting to see her race on the circuit. But yeah, I think, like the boys have said, everyone's been skiing well, so I think we could have some good results out of everyone if they're skiing well. Jaylee Hovey's back from injury, and she's been skiing very well, which is cool to see because she's struggled a little bit in the past, but she's right back on it, so that's awesome.
Great. And Kenzie, as a, Y senior now, you have these first years coming in. they've skied obviously their whole lives, but they don't necessarily know what it means to be a collegiate skier. So what do you kind of tell them? What's some advice you share?
Something we've always said since when I was a freshman is that this is the victory lap, and this is kind of the time where you can relax and let your skiing shine, because there's not that pressure of making a college team, or it's not as an individual sport anymore, and you can, bring your teammates up when they're down, and they can kind of celebrate your successes as well.
Excellent. Kyle, what's the group kind of like dynamic-wise? I know you all have to be very flexible with your schedules and stuff in terms of, practices and classes, but what's this kind of personality of the team maybe perhaps?
Yeah, I think overall it's really kind of competitive, but also supportive environment. We've really focused just since the start of the season, and kind of just when we're on the hill, just really kind of everyone pushing each other, trying to work with each other to get better, talk with one another what we're trying to work with in our technique, and kind of focus on that. And it's an individual sport, but this collegiate environment, it's a team sport. So it's, if one individual does well, it's great, but in order to thrive and do well against the other teams, we need everyone skiing at their best. So really kind of pushing each other and then building off one person's gains and kind of finding something from somewhere else. So it's cool balance, I think, from being in the gym in the fall up getting on snow, just working together and kind of continuing that momentum to just, build and progress towards good results that we know we're capable of.
And one of the coolest things I think about skiing is that it's not just the women's team, the men's team. Your scores all combine. And not only the men's and women's scores combine, they combine with the men's and women's Nordic skiers as well. So, Sequoia, what's that like? Maybe seeing how your Nordic skiing teammates did as well, perhaps out there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like you're saying, a very unique sport, and the opportunity to be able to have a co-ed team is super cool. And then when we're at carnivals and have the opportunity to cheer on our other half, the Nordics, it's awesome too. And yeah, it's been great so far. So
normally you don't get to see them compete though, right? It's always overlapping. Have you ever gotten a chance to see the Nordics compete?
If one of our races get canceled,
yeah, right.
We've been able to watch them a couple times, but other than that, not really.
2 years ago, when one of the days of the Alpine Carnival was canceled and the Nordic race was able to go on, so some of us got over there and were able to cheer on the Nordic team, which was a really cool experience.
It does feel like you have to be prepared for anything in Alpine skiing, right? What's that dynamic like? Anyone who wants to take that one, just being prepared for any situation, right?
Yeah, no, it's kind of ridiculous how many variables we have to deal with, because the snow is always different. It can be icy. It could have snowed 4 feet the night before. The weather could be, it could be sunny, it could be dumping rain. It really changes, and then that obviously changes the course, and then how many people ski on it too. So it's extremely variable.
Excellent. What are your thoughts each of you wanted to share about the upcoming season, or maybe the Bates Carnival specifically we haven't got to talk about yet, you wanted to mention?
I think, just looking forward to the carnival. I think getting, a large crew of just friends and other Bobcats up there to come out and watch. It's a super accessible venue to watch. If you don't want to ski, you can stay in the lodge and watch it all from the lodge, the whole race. And then those that do ski or snowboard coming up to Sunday River and kind of coming to watch some ski racing, but also enjoying a day, it's a great reason to get up there. And I think for the season in general, it'll be exciting season. I think 4 of us seniors, it's bittersweet. Want to have great results, but also cherishing the moment, cherishing the last home Bates Carnival. It's an exciting opportunity for us.
Yeah, I think it's, like Kyle said, it's really special that we get to host the Bates Carnival on our senior year. There's 9 graduating seniors this year, so that's going to be a great thing. And I'm also just excited to see the young talent and get that started for this year too.
A lot has been said, but piggybacking off that, it's just great to see everyone supporting each other. I mean, our whole entire team comes up for it, not just the 7 that qualify for the carnival. So it's great to see the entire team out there supporting each other and really embracing the atmosphere of being a Bobcat. And we'd really love to see as many Bobcat students as we can.
And I also think, a thank you to you, of course, and Tia and Chris, too, because they've been trying to help promote this, and we've been really working hard to get our names out there. And like everyone said, it's pretty accessible, so you don't even need to be able to ski. You just got to get yourself out there, and maybe some carpooling opportunities will happen. But, you can watch the whole thing from the bottom, so we're hoping to have a big crew.
Sounds good. Starts Friday morning, 9 a.m. Giant slalom, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
on Friday. Yep. Giant slalom on Friday, and then 9 a.m. as well, slalom on Saturday, the Bates Carnival at Sunday River. It doesn't happen every year, so go check it out. And thank you so much to our Alpine skiing captains here, Kyle, Kenzie, Nick, and Sequoia for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you,
having
Aaron.
us.
Thank you.
While the Alpine skiers race at Sunday River in Newry, the Nordic skiers will be competing in a pair of freestyle races at Black Mountain in Rumford. Senior captain Eva McDonough previews their season. Well, Eva, very exciting getting to host the Bates Carnival this weekend there at Black Mountain. We don't get to host every year, so how excited are you as a senior to be able to host, in your final year as a Bobcat?
Yeah, it's really wonderful. I know a ton of parents are coming out. A ton of my friends will be there. And, even at the Colby Carnival last year, which is the closest carnival we have, there were tons of Bates students out there, even more than Colby students, and they're like 10 minutes down the road. And so it was really exciting just to see how many people came out. People were out there with their shirts off, like Bobcats on the chest. It was like 12 degrees. And so the energy is always really good. And it's an awesome way to start the season.
I remember that. Yeah, there was a ton of fan support there at Colby and expected to see that there at Rumford at Black Mountain as well. What is the Black Mountain course kind of like? I mean, I know you don't. Do you train there that often? I mean, you don't really train there that often, do you? Yeah.
So today will be the first time in 2 years that I'm skiing there. So I really don't know the course very well, and it's likely to change just because of snow availability. And so today I'll find out what the course is actually like. But from my memory from, I think it was my sophomore year, it's pretty gradual. There's no huge features. There's a couple sharp turns on the downhills, but there's nothing huge on the course that's the one thing, the one big hill or something like that. It's pretty rolling.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think we got an email from Coach Upham. It's going to be 2 freestyle events, 2 skates.
Yep.
And so in terms of snow conditions, why are skates more reasonable when you don't have a ton of snow than classic? Could you break it down for us in terms of techniques?
There's a couple different reasons, and one of those is just the depth of the snow. So you need a certain depth in order to get the classic tracks, so where your skis go in the snow. And then also for something like a sprint, it's really high turnover. So someone might race 4 times in one day. And that means that there's 4 different adjustments that you have to make to the skis. And so that's really tricky when it comes to classic skiing because you not only have your glide, which is how you move forward and how fast you're going, but you also have your kick, which is how the skis stick to the snow in order to propel you forward. And so that is really hard to adjust depending on the circumstance. And so everything is much more simple with skis in terms of skate skiing and then also just preparing the course. It's easier to do that for skate.
Now, for you personally, what do you prefer? What's your ideal? Is it a sprint? Is it a long distance classic skate? What's your preference, kind of?
I think it changes a little bit year to year, but typically I like the more mid distance classics. So not necessarily a 20K, which is the longest race that we do. It's really long, and then sprinting is less of my thing. So I would say mid distance, and then I love classic skiing. It's really nice, but I wouldn't say that I'm super strong in one. I'm a pretty balanced skier in general.
Gotcha. So what's it like being one of the captains this year here?
It's really exciting. We have a super young team, and it's been so wonderful to get to know all of them. They're just so great, every single one of them. And so it's been really cool to be able to mentor them and just have the goal of setting the team up for success and developing a really strong team culture. And so as a senior, especially seeing the different iterations of the team and having really, really strong leadership. When I was an underclassman, I think that's definitely influential now, and I'm just aspiring to be as great of captains as they were when I was younger.
Great, and then being a senior, having this experience, what do you say to the young skiers, the first years coming into collegiate skiing compared to maybe what they're used to, growing up?
Yeah, I think it's a huge adjustment. I know it was for me at least. The carnival season is really tough. It's 7 weeks of really intense racing, and you're missing school every week. It's really hard to balance everything. And so, all of these skiers are used to balancing a lot of things, having a lot on their plate. But I think in college especially, you need to give yourself a little bit of grace because it's a whole different animal. You're in a new environment, new friends, different classes. Your professors may or may not be very perceptive to what you're doing on the weekends. And so I think, it's really important to communicate, with your coaches and your captains and your teachers and also with each other. A lot of the support that I needed during the season just came from my teammates. And so we all really bond throughout the season, and we're already super close. And I've seen that throughout, all of the camps that we've done and even every day at practice. And so going into the season, that's a really good sign because, that is your support system every single weekend. That's who you're relying on. So I think the resources are there. It's important to reach out, and they've done a great job of that so far. So I have no worries.
Awesome. Yeah, I talked with the Alpine skiers about this a little bit, but it's kind of fun with skiing. It's co-ed because I mean all your scores add up. It's not only co-ed, it's co-sport because you combine it with Alpine also. So what's that kind of like having a team where everyone's results matter, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really special, and I think even like knowing that everyone can race every weekend, pretty much. I mean, maybe the last race, not everyone's racing on the team, but that's something that I love in general about skiing. Is just that. No matter what, you're going to get starts and like you're going to be able to like get out there and prove yourself. And so I love that about skiing. And like really, we never know who's going to do well. Like we have a guess, and so it's amazing that like some days we have some people who are really fast and they have a great day, and then some days you just don't have like the perfect day. And it's really variable with skiing because there's tons of different factors that contribute to your performance. And so it's really up and down, and like across our team, we see that, and then also across the disciplines. Like sometimes Alpine has a really great day, and then Nordic, something went wrong. And so it really just depends, and it's cool to have that variation. And then sometimes like everything just comes together, and like both the teams have really great days, and a couple of people have like great results that are like out of the ordinary for them, and it all just comes together, and it's really, really fun to have so many people come together under one goal, and that's really special about skiing.
Excellent. Tell me a little bit about how you first got into Nordic skiing growing up. You're from Colorado. Mm-hmm. Obviously, those are known for mountains and like downhill more so, right? Mm-hmm. Probably the Nordic. I don't know. Tell me a little bit about how you got into Nordic skiing.
Yeah, I mean, Nordic skiing is definitely a smaller sport. And it's funny you asked this because just over the break, I was teaching some people how to ski for the first time. And I was thinking back to like when I first learned how to ski, and I don't remember at all, which is like, it's really hard to teach people how to ski when you have no recollection of learning yourself. And so we pulled up pictures of the first time I went skiing, and I think I was 2.5 years old. And really, you're not really like skiing as much as just being like held up by your parents on skis. And so it's really interesting to like think back to that and be like, oh my gosh, like I've been skiing for like almost my entire life. And like now my ski career is like kind of coming to a close. And it's really special to have something that you do for that long in your life. Like not many people do something consistently for that long, especially in athletics. And so I think, I can't remember when I started Nordic skiing either, but I'm sure I was very young. I think my first memory was when I was in kindergarten. So I was probably 5 years old, Nordic skiing. And that was with my like school class, like in my kindergarten class. And we would like go out for PE. Yeah. And so it's totally ingrained in the culture, both Nordic and Alpine skiing more in Colorado, but I think a lot of people on the team come from a background of like their family did it or they're in a community where Nordic skiing was really prominent. And so it's really cool to see that legacy too, because like I have teammates who their parents went to Bates and skied at Bates, or like there's so many different connections, and Nordic is a niche sport, but that also means that the community is super tight-knit. So there are people who have been racing out east since they were a tiny, tiny kid, and they have so many friends across the circuit. And even now, like, I know so many different people at different schools just through skiing. And so it's really cool to, like, have this lifelong passion and, like, be able to meet all these people. And I'm really grateful for my parents for, they were the reason why I got involved in the first place. So thanks to them.
Awesome. And do you do any Alpine just for fun?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I primarily did Alpine when I was growing up and, like, Nordic kind of on the side.
Oh, okay.
And so like these past couple of years, I have not been doing that much Alpine, but it's probably more than the average person. To me, it's not very much, but I remember when I was in high school before I started like super competitively skiing, I think I would ski like 60 or 70 days a year, which is a lot. Like if you think about how many days a year you have snow and like being in school, it's kind of ridiculous how much I used to ski. And now like Nordic skiing is easier because you can just go out, after class and get on the trails, but Alpine skiing is like the lifts aren't running past 4 p.m. And so to just have that many days is crazy. And that's just the community I was in. Like the chairlift was closer than the football field at the high school I was at, which is just goes to show how important it is there.
Awesome. And what made Bates the place for you when you're looking at colleges, coming from Colorado?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So my sister went here. Okay. She was a senior when I was a freshman. But I actually remember coming to tour Bates when she was a freshman, or I guess she must have been a junior or senior in high school. And I remember thinking when I got on campus, I was like, I love it here. Like, and I was here in the fall, and it was like a beautiful day, and people were on the quad, like jumping into piles of leaves. And I remember the tour guide was in the outing club and like was so passionate about Bates. And I just like could completely imagine myself here. And when she said it was her first choice, I was like, no, it can't be. It's like, it's my, like the school that I love the most, because we had been to like 7 schools or something. And I was like, no, this is the place that I like. And then it all worked out where I was looking at schools and talking with the coaches, and I really liked the program, and just like talking with the coaching staff and seeing who was on the team and the type of dynamic they had. I was like, this really makes sense. Like, I love the school, and I have for a while. And also I can ski, which is awesome. And so it just was like a perfect combination.
So she was Nordic skier also?
She was not a Nordic skier.
Oh, did she compete in any sport?
No, she didn't.
Oh.
She was like, she did a lot of Alpine skiing, and like that's kind of her thing. So
Okay.
But she didn't competitively Nordic ski or anything in high school.
Gotcha. So you just came out to Bates purely for the academics.
Right. Exactly.
Gotcha. And then you fell in love with it as a what, how old were you for that tour? Like,
I think
pretty young.
I was pretty young.
Yeah.
I must have been like a freshman. Yeah, and then I was a sophomore when she was moving in. I moved her into Bates, actually.
Nice.
Because I was supposed to go on some trip, and then I like sprained both my ankles.
Oh.
And then they were like, we need some extra hands, and I like couldn't go on that trip, so I just like sat in her dorm room. And so I had been to Bates a lot of times before I actually ended up like going here full time as a student.
Awesome. And then we were hoping to have some of the men's captains on as well, but we talked off air. Their 2 captains are sophomores, super young men's team in particular. Tell us, how, since it is co-ed, tell us what you've seen from kind of them and their leadership also.
Yeah, it's definitely a dynamic partnership between the men's and women's team. And I think that was something that we were pretty nervous about coming in, because we have a really different experience. Like, Dimitri hasn't actually raced for Bates. Like, he's raced for Bates once, like one single race.
Oh, okay.
Because he was like injured and sick, and like all of these things are just like totally something that just happens when you're a Nordic skier. Like, these things happen.
Yeah.
But we were like, oh my gosh, they're so young. Like, one of us, like one senior women's captain, has more racing and like training experience at Bates than all of them combined. And so we were like, oh my gosh, how is this going to work out? And so we've definitely had some ups and downs just in terms of communication, but they're really great guys. And like, we have learned so much. Like, I've learned so much, they've learned so much just in the partnership. And so I think coming into the season, we're in a really good spot, and I'm just super excited. Like, the men's team has been training so hard. They've done such a great job, and I think it's going to be really, really awesome. They're so excited. I mean, in general, like, the men's team is super young.
Yeah.
And they have so much excitement, and they like just need to focus it a little bit, and it's going to make some really great things happen.
Well, any other thoughts you wanted to share on the Bates Carnival or the upcoming season we haven't gotten to talk about yet?
I think just like it's a really exciting season. We have a super young team, and I think that the Bates Carnival just brings so much momentum, like all of that, home course energy and everything. And I hope we get a bunch of people out there. I know I've already talked to like a ton of different people who are super excited about going. And I think like that's just the way to start the season off right. And it's going to be so great. And I hope that we get just like a ton of people up there. And yeah, it'll be a great season. And also, please, like, do your snow dances. We really need it. I know we're supposed to get some snow this weekend, but like, it's pretty bare out here. So any help we can get in that respect is great too.
Absolutely. We'll have the 1.3K freestyle 10 a.m. on Friday and the 15K freestyle as well, 10 a.m. on Saturday. That's at Black Mountain in Rumford, Maine for the Nordic Skiing team. Eva, thank you so much for joining us on the Bobcast. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
A reminder, you can find the complete schedule of all Bates Athletics events, along with links to follow the action live, game recaps, and much more at GoBatesBobcats.com. We'll recap another exciting week of Bates Athletics next time on the Bates Bobcast.